announce the Australian Musical How's That for The Music, and has written radio shows Take 40 Australia and My Generation, as well as regularly writing questions for Rock Quiz. He's also a regular on radio, including ABC Radio. Most recently, Jeff is very well known for chronicling the life of Molly Meldrum in a couple of books, which also went on to become a well-known mini-series.
Yay.
I'm going to get up the chair now and leave it to Jeff, who's going to introduce, well, I'll introduce actually, sorry, our guest today, our special guest, Missy Higgins. Missy actually became a household name in 2004 when she released the unforgettable hit Scar, winning an ARIA for the Best Pop Release, as well as being nominated for 3 other ARIA awards in that year. In the following year, 2005, Missy's album The Sound of White earned her no less than 5 ARIA awards, including Album of the Year, Best Female Artist, Highest Selling Album, Breakthrough Album Artist and Best Pop Release. Missy's gone on to win other ARIA awards for Best Female Artist for her album On a Clear Night, and ARIAs for Best Contemporary Artist for her album The Old Razzle Dazzle. When looking over the career of Missy, I could not believe that she's actually been nominated for 24 ARIA awards, having won 7, 9? Ask your mum. Okay, enough of me. Let's introduce Missy up to the stage to have a chat with Jeff.
Thanks very much.
Welcome, Missy.
Thanks.
Great to see you. Thanks for doing our lunch.
My pleasure.
As Darren mentioned, it's been an amazing career so far, and we can't cover all of that today. But I do want to take you back to, I think, year 8. Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. That was like
where it all began.
Yeah, it was like an epiphany for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was actually. I had never held a microphone like this before, and I had never experienced my voice being amplified before, and I'd never really performed in front of an audience before. Actually, no, that's a lie. I think there's a video of me when I'm about 6 singing a Madonna song into a plastic microphone. So that was probably the real beginning. But yeah, Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, I think I was Isaac, one of the brothers. I was wearing a Hessian sack, it was my costume. And I got to sing a solo, and I just remember the feeling of just capturing the audience's attention and singing and expressing myself and just feeling like on top of the world. It was the most amazing experience I'd had to that point, and I think I realised then that I wanted to be just like my older brother, who was a singer and a musician.
So music was what you were always going to do with your life?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, my dad said to me in year 12, he's like, you should go to uni and do an arts degree and make sure you have something to fall back on. So I planned to do that, even though I guess I thought I'd always do music, but I'd probably have to do something else that would make some money. So a proper job, you know, some sort of writing or yeah, something artistic that would make some money, and then I'd be a singer on the weekends. But then later that year I won the Triple J Unearthed, which convinced my dad that maybe I could be a musician for a job.
Which was an incredible story in itself, because your sister entered one of your songs, All for Believing, in Triple J's Unearthed. And I think you were at boarding school at the time, you didn't even know what Unearthed was?
Yeah, I was a bit of a dork, I guess. Yeah, I think I was either 15 or 16 when I wrote that song in year 10, and then a couple of years later she sent in a recording of it to Unearthed. And yeah, I didn't really know what it was, and then I got a call a few months later from a very excited woman asking if I was sitting down so she could break this news to me, and she told me that I'd won Unearthed, and it took me a while to figure out what she was talking about. And then, yeah, so she explained it to me, and then I started to get really excited, and I ended up doing the big Triple J Unearthed live concert, which was the first time I played. I had about half a dozen songs, and I played them in front of the audience, and that was the first time I'd really sung my own songs in front of an audience that wasn't my school, because I used to perform a lot at school concerts and stuff.
Yeah, speaking of school, this year ARIA is doing something really special at the ARIA Awards, at recognising music teachers. And I was wondering, was Mr. Retke, was it? Was your
Yeah,
music
Paul
teacher?
Retke, yeah.
What did you learn from him?
Well, yeah, because our school had a really amazing music jazz program, and I was really into jazz at the time. So my brother put in a word for me with Paul, because my brother had been taught by him when he was at school, and Paul didn't usually teach people as young as me, but he did it as a favour for my brother. And so he taught me jazz piano and I guess a bit of vocals. The vocals was kind of something that you did on top of the piano. But he was a very serious musician, Paul, and he still is, but he really instilled in us that it could be a profession, it could really be something that you could be proud of, and something that was very noble to pursue, you know, once you finish school, because it's something that's a little bit frowned upon, I guess, in a lot of circles. That the idea of even my parents were just a bit worried that I'd just be kind of sleeping on couches and smoking bowls and playing the PlayStation. So they wanted me to be okay, I guess, and yeah, he made us feel really good about it, and he made us feel okay about being really passionate about it and wanting to pursue it.
So you win Unearthed, and then I think you were in year 12, you sign a record deal, you get a manager, and I remember you once told me you were very concerned at the time because you were worried that a record company could try and turn you into Britney Spears. So you were kind of freaking out a little bit.
Yeah, I was. I guess from a young age I was pretty headstrong about what I didn't want to be. Not so sure about what I did want to be, but definitely knew what I didn't want to be, and I was really scared of turning into Britney Spears or just what I was seeing a lot of on the television, and that was kind of long blonde women in bikinis, kind of writhing up next to some guy and singing other people's songs, and obviously there was, in my mind, obviously there was producers or management kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes, and I wanted to make sure that I made all the decisions regarding my own career and my own image. So I met with a few managers who, some of which kind of made me realise that they wanted, their grand plan was to turn me into more of a girly girl, because I was a real tomboy and I wanted to stay that way, and they talked to me about clothing and image and singing a little bit higher to sound a bit more girly and things like that. So that was a real warning sign. And then I met John Watson, who's now still my manager, and he just he loved the idea that I didn't want to get into music straight away. I wanted to take a year off and go backpacking, and I wanted to get to know myself, and I wanted to develop my own sound, and he thought that was really great. So I immediately knew that it was that he was the guy to sign me.
And he's such a great manager, John Watson. You're still with him. He's your record company as well. How important is having a good manager in this business, and what do you rely on him for?
I've come to realise that for me it's just been so important. I do know a lot of independent musicians that don't have a manager, that self-manage, and who do an amazing job. But I know for me, I really I needed that guidance, and especially starting at such a young age, I didn't have a clue. My mum was managing me for a few months there, and she really didn't have a clue.
What did she want to turn you into?
No. She hadn't even gone that far ahead with image. She was just like, what are CDs again? I think having a manager like John has been so important. I guess the main reason it's been so important for me is that he's allowed me to just concentrate on the music. He's allowed me to just concentrate on the writing and the creative side of it, and not deal with any of the business, which is really, really not up my alley and not my forte. And I think even the self-managed musicians would say that it can kind of distract from the writing sometimes, so it's hard. So I can't really speak for the modern times that we're in, where it's so easy to kind of get your music out there online and self-promote, which I think is amazing. But for me and from where I come from, having a manager has been indispensable.
And I do want to highlight the great Peter Carpen's here today, and John Watson and I both worked with Peter Carpen. We learnt so much from him, one of the greatest A&R men in the country. So great to have Peter here today. It's obviously been such a nurturing environment for you with John Watson and 11 Music in Australia. I was wondering what your experiences have been like in America. You spent quite a bit of time there, and we hear kind of horror stories about American record executives like wanting to change images and do different things with you. What's your experience been like in America?
I had good and bad experiences in America. Most of the people I worked with were really lovely and really supportive, and I was signed to Warner Brothers Music for a while, and there's a lot of real music lovers in that company. In every company, I guess, you get the music lovers and you get the people that are more focused on the bottom line. But it's just a different world over there because it's such a massive music scene, and I did find that there was more fear over there about what might not work. Like, there was less of a inclination to take risks because they have so much money to invest in you, and so they've got so much to lose if it doesn't go right. So I did find that a lot of the time there was much more interference as far as, you know, people coming into the studio and wanting to hear your songs and being like, I think the hi-hat should come up half a dB and, you know, this far, which was just kind of input for the sake of input, for the sake of ego. So there was more fear, but at the same time it can be really exciting because there is so much more of a capacity to reach more people and to do more and to make these incredible things and to put on these incredible shows because there is so much more money in the industry over there.
One thing I've really admired about you over the years, you haven't been afraid to talk about your struggles and your battles with depression, and you've been really open and honest about that. There's been a lot of talk about that this week in regards to footballers and the importance of talking about it. Has it been difficult for you to be so open about personal matters?
I don't think it was easy at first, but with all these kind of things, when you start to talk about it, you realise that it's probably something you should have done earlier because so many people can relate to your position and feel grateful that you've spoken out about it. So I think it's probably a lot easier to do in the entertainment industry than it is in the sport industry because we're expected to be vulnerable in a certain way and we're expected to confront our emotions in our songs and stuff like that. But there's definitely a stigma with mental illness that is only going to change if people talk about it and admit that they're struggling.
There are obviously so many facets to the music business, and for you, you're writing, recording, touring, promotion, doing interviews, being recognised, people's expectations. Is there any one thing out of all of that you struggle with most? Well, I'm a bit of a hermit, as my husband would know. So I don't really like to do too many things that kind of put me outside of my comfort zone. Or I'll do them, I'll throw myself into the deep end and then I'll freak out for a few weeks and not want to leave the house. So I guess probably just the vulnerability of putting yourself out there in the public eye or standing up for things that you believe in, I find is quite hard because whenever you take especially a political stance on something, there's always going to be people who feel the opposite way and want to have a very lively debate with you about it. Yeah, that's another thing I really admire about you. You haven't been afraid to stand up for humanitarian causes, animal rights, environmental issues. Like you just said, obviously social media is quite brutal nowadays, and whatever side you take, you're going to cop some grief. Are there many times when you think, I do want to speak up about this, but I'm not sure if I'm strong enough to be able to deal with the backlash?
Yeah, there's I mean, I think if I do feel strongly enough about something, I'll speak up about it, because I can't really live with myself if I don't, because I've been given a microphone and it would be such a waste if I didn't. But sometimes I do have to choose my battles, and sometimes I have to go, you know what, I've said enough on this issue. I can't keep doing it because it's really taking its toll, and I get approached about a lot of things and a lot of issues that are really important that I wish that I could kind of help out with or do something about, but you can only kind of do so much, I guess, especially when you're a bit of an introvert like me, and I kind of need home time and family time, and not to put myself out there occasionally, just to kind of regroup.
Social media, it's obviously great for musicians, but obviously there's a negative side to it. For you, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
I think it's a great thing. It seems to be the thing these days that is really helping propel a lot of new artists onto the scene. And I know when it's done well and when it's done right, it can be so powerful. So many new artists have really used it to their advantage. I'm not really as good at it as I could be. I just always forget to take photos of things and put them up. It's not. I guess maybe I'm on the cusp of the generation that's really good at remembering to take photos of everything that happens and the ones that aren't, and comment. It's not instinctually. It doesn't come to me to comment on everything publicly, but I know that when I do, there's such a good reaction, and it's so nice to connect directly with your fan group and have a direct conversation. But I do know that if I write anything that's even slightly controversial, not to look at the comments. Stay far away from the comments as possible.
One song of yours I want to talk about, Set Me On Fire. That was a song that really kind of documented the struggles that you're having, particularly with writer's block. But ironically, the song became like a love letter to music, and the music saved you.
Yeah. I had a few years of writer's block. I wrote my song "Everyone's Waiting" about that, actually, and I guess most writers, I mean probably all writers, have a series of writer's block at some point or another, even in small bouts. But this just kind of kept going on, and I made the decision to step away from music and try. I'd never been to uni, so I wanted to try studying something. So I went. Studied Indigenous Australian Studies, and found it really hard and wondered why I was actually doing it in the end, because in the end I found myself kind of footnoting all these things, and like footnoting is the worst thing. Isn't it a pain in the ass? Like, why do you have to footnote everything? I've been spending like 4 hours trying to footnote my essay, and then I was just like, what am I doing? I should just be singing. So I said yes to a festival I was offered in the States called Lilith Fair, which is Sarah McLachlan's tour, and it's an amazing all-female tour. And I got on stage, and just suddenly all these feelings came back about how much I loved performing, and just this gratitude that I hadn't had for a long time for what I do. I think I'd kind of just lost sight of it all somehow. I think I pushed myself really hard on my second album to make it in the States. That was like my one goal. So I just toured for about 3 years non-stop, and I think I really burnt myself out. So in retrospect, I probably just needed a break, but so when I got back on stage, it just made me realise that I couldn't really go too far away from music because it was so deeply ingrained in me. So I started writing again. Somehow it just kind of all started working.
And Set Me On Fire you wrote with two other people, two of my favourite songwriters, Butterfly Boucher, originally from Adelaide, now lives in America, and Dan Wilson, an American, an incredible songwriter. I just wanted to talk a little bit about co-writing, because obviously you don't need to co-write. The vast majority of your songs you've written on your own. So I was wondering, what are you looking for in a co-writing situation?
I think I'm looking to break out of old habits and to get out of my own head. I've just been working on a new album, and a lot of the songs I've been working on are with producers who are kind of good at making drum and bass loop thingies, and that's just been so freeing, because they'll kind of send me an idea and then I just have to put vocals and lyrics over the top of it. And what it does is kind of short circuit that part of your brain that overthinks everything. So somehow the song is kind of already there, you just have to colour it a little bit. And I think it's the same with co-writing, just allowing someone else to collaborate with you and to throw some ideas your way just opens up new pathways in your brain and stops you from going down the same old road that you normally do. But it's really dependent on finding the right person too, because I've had a lot of really well, I wouldn't say terrible experiences, but just experiences that don't really end up in a very good song. Failed attempts.
Yeah, and we've got one of the great Australian co-writers here today, and Mark Holden. I'm sure he's experienced a lot of this too, that it's a creative process where I imagine you're quite vulnerable in that you're exposing yourself emotionally, and also you're exposing your musical skills, but maybe your musical limitations as well to people who don't know. How do you approach it? Do you try and get to know the person a little bit before you go into a writing process?
Not always. I mean, sometimes, that in an ideal scenario, but sometimes you only have a day to write a song with someone, so, I mean, you'll have a cup of tea and have a little chat, but I've been to places like Nashville and you know, in LA where there's a lot of co-writers, and they're so used to just doing it every day like a job that they can just kind of get straight into it. Like you sit down and like, I've got these 3 chords, and it's like, whoa, can we just you know, have a cup of tea, or you know, get to know each other a little bit first. But sometimes people are so used to it that they don't feel vulnerable or insecure. But I guess, musicians in general are pretty insecure, so it takes a while to loosen up and trust the other person. So in my experience, the best co-writes have been with people that I know and are friends with, or are other kind of singer, songwriter, performer types who I've kind of known around the traps and I can relate to on that level. The ones that haven't worked are the people that are the professional co-writers and are used to kind of churning the songs out, because I guess we're just not coming from a similar place.
Speaking of great songwriters, one of your heroes, tell us about meeting Patty Griffin.
Oh, that's an embarrassing memory. Well, she's been one of my all-time heroes, but I've just never wanted to meet anybody that I admire, really. It might come from a kind of a deeply ingrained insecurity about just making a fool of myself in front of them, or maybe I'm just hoping that they don't just disappoint me. But I got dragged backstage to meet her at one of her shows when I said to my friend beforehand that I really didn't want to meet her, like I honestly don't want to meet her, and she dragged me back anyway, and I just froze in front of Patty Griffin. I just stood there, and I didn't even really kind of approach her, like I just stood, like I made sure I stayed 2 meters back from her, and I just became a weirdo and just kind of said hi, just stared at the floor. And I think back at that now and I think, God, she must think I was so rude or just disinterested or something. But I did meet her again a few years later. We played at the same festival. I think it was the Lions Folk Festival, and I got to kind of be a little bit more normal in front of it, so kind of made up for it.
Your last record was actually a covers collection, doing Great Australian Songs, the Oz album. I was wondering, doing all covers, has that had an influence on your songwriting?
I don't know. I think it's hard to tell, really. I mean, probably the thing that would have an influence on my songwriting was all the listening to Australian music that I did in preparation for that album, because in trying to find the right songs for me to cover, I just listened to so many songs, just hundreds and hundreds. Like, I sent out emails to all of my networks just saying, give me a top 10 Australian songs of all time, and so I had these massive big song lists, playlists to listen to. So that's probably come through in some way or another, but it's hard to put your finger on it, really.
The biggest change since making that record, you've become a mum. I was wondering, being a mum, has that changed how you approach making music?
God, yeah. I mean, most likely it's changed every aspect of my life, so I'd say it's probably changed how I approach music. You know, it's funny because I thought that becoming a mum would make my songs much more kind of softer and more, I don't know, vanilla and fragile. But all I've wanted to do is write songs about the end of the world. It's really bizarre. I've just become fascinated in post-apocalyptic literature and movies, and I've got really obsessed with it for a while, didn't I? To the point where everyone was worrying about me. So I guess maybe having a child made me realise that things were in a pretty dire state as far as the environment goes, and that I felt like I now had a responsibility to something other than myself, you know, to do something about the environment. But also I kind of had a bit of this kind of masochistic approach to it too, like, if it's all going to end, it's all going to end, you know, let's write songs about what it would be like, you know, a fire came and ruined everything, or like a massive flood covered the earth, what would that be like? And, you know, what are the kind of love stories that might happen amongst that kind of Armageddon? So yeah, it's definitely changed things. I'm sure the kind of more lullaby, softer stuff might come out a little bit later, but for now this is how I'm dealing with it.
So how far away is the next Missy Higgins album?
I mean, we're in the final stages of it right now, and we've sent a few songs off to the mixer, so it's really close. But then I just wrote another song about a week ago that we've decided to record and put on it, which is a love song about my husband, which he's very glad about. He's like, finally. They're not all about the end of the world. So yeah, it's something that's kind of been becoming a mum has made recording really different, because I only have little, you know, a couple of days here and there to do it, so it's been a very long process compared to just going into the studio for a month. But we're almost there. Yeah.
Just finally, Missy, the first time I interviewed you was a week that Scar debuted at #1, which was a phenomenal achievement for a new artist at that time to have her first single debut at #1. So it was a very exciting time. I was wondering if we could put you in a time machine and take you back to that time, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give that young woman just starting out?
So much. God, where do I start? I think I would tell her to definitely follow her instincts, because whenever I haven't followed my instincts, that's when it hasn't ended well. And I don't have really that many regrets, but the ones that I do are the times when I let other people tell me what I should put on the album or what sounded good, or, you know, and I went against what I was instinctively feeling. So that would be the main thing, is to just shut out all the voices and trust yourself. It's hard to trust yourself though when you're first starting, because you don't have any evidence that works yet. And be kind to yourself. I think it's easy when you kind of get on a roll and you have a lot of people that are trying to push you to work harder and to get your songs further and further up the charts and to make more money and sell more merch and everything. It's hard to remember what your core values are because they're trying to impose their values on you. So that would definitely be another thing I would tell myself, to just to remember what's really important.
It's been a fantastic career so far. We've loved the 4 albums. We're looking forward to the 5th album. Thanks so much for always being a great chat too. As a journalist, you really appreciate that in an artist, so thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, great to have you here today for our lunch. So, ladies and gentlemen,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Big thank you to Darren and Nick and Danae and Moira and the whole team. It's a big job to put this together, so thank you.